Hey guys, it's Will with Dojo Kyle, and I'm just continuing on with our little interview series. I'm very excited to have one of our coaches in our youth program and also in our, who's just getting started in coaching in our adult program, jumping on. Shinto Magic, hello, thank you for being here. And yeah, Steven, who's been training. I feel like we'll have to ask Steven how long he's been involved with the dojo because I can remember him back at our very first location, which was Coach Ryan's. Oh, there he is right there. Let me accept him. Waiting. There he is. Hey, Coach Steven. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hopping on.
Hey, how's it going?
I was just talking to our, I guess our audience or whatever we call it about. I was trying to remember. I remember initially meeting you at the physical therapy clinic, right when Ryan had just started the dojo. Is that right? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was the first time. Yeah, when the dojo was there, sharing the space at the clinic. I think you were a blue belt at the time, right?
Man, probably. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I think I was at the clinic. Yeah. That was a long, many moons ago, man. That's cool. And
Yeah.
can you tell us? So you've done some training prior to jiu-jitsu, is that correct? When did you start your martial arts journey and everything?
I would about 14, 15. Started it with Jeet Kune Do was the big craze, I guess, back then. So went ahead and started that. Great instructor, great teachers, great coach. It kind of progressed from Jeet Kune Do was always the base, and then it kind of turned into. Hold on, I think my internet's a little off. Hold on.
Oh, I think he was right. While we're waiting for Coach Steven to reconnect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
sorry
I was
about
just
that.
filling that window of time, putting Olive
Yeah.
on, putting Olive on camera. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So
So
like
Jeet Kune Do when
start
you're 14 or 15.
yeah, and then just it just kind of progressed into different that always stayed as the base, and then it started doing Jeet Kune Do, and then Arnis, which is that Filipino martial art, and then Muay Thai was basically the place I stayed all the time for martial arts. Did Taekwondo for a while, competed for that, um, and then as going through college, and then starting a getting married and starting a family, it just kind of seemed physically I couldn't do a lot of things that I used to do when I was younger. Started feeling like speed was going down. Didn't want to get hit in the face anymore. and,
Sure.
the cool part was that when I was training towards the later part of uh, I guess like in beginning of college, and so we did some grappling work, and that was really fun. It felt like a different aspect um, of martial arts, and I think as college progressed and graduated, started looking back into like gotta feel like I gotta train. Didn't feel like it was such a big part of your life. You're kind of like, man,
Sure.
I miss some kind of combative thing, and I'm not a big sports guy, so it's kind of the only thing I had. But helped me out mentally, I would say that, and I ended up just looking around for some jujitsu places, and sure enough, Dojo Kyle was one of the first ones that came up.
Cool.
I I don't know if it was a website or I think it was a sign,
I
like
I,
actual
I
physical
remember
sign.
I remember Ryan had the big banner on the back
Yeah,
of the shed that said Jiu-Jitsu
yeah. I
and
think
right
that's
off
what
the
it was.
interstate. So we got all kinds of people coming through like, hey, there's Jiu-Jitsu here.
Yeah,
So yeah, we
it was.
might have to figure out how to get the whole side of the building wrapped in a big sign like that or something
I'll
again.
tell you what, yeah, that worked. I mean, we had a lot of guys come through there, and it's neat though to see like everyone who was there and then continued on, and it's been nice. I will say though, you were, I believe you were blue, and then I remember, I remember something that happened distinctly. I remember I came in one day, and I forgot how long I was training, and then you I was partnered with you, and then you go, I don't know if you remember this, and then you said like, hey man, I think Ryan wants to promote you. And I was like, what? I was like, no man, I mean that's not right. And then he was like, no, let's just go. And then we were rolling, and I think that day, I think I turned wrong and I caught an elbow right in the back of my head.
Oh no.
And then I was like, man, I'm gonna take some time off. And I think after that, it ended up being like about like 9 months off. and then and then I came back again, and then I took some more time off, and I came back again. But I was like, man, like the time progresses, but it was like, I don't know. It was like even though there was time spent away, it's constantly on my brain all the time.
Wait,
But
so am I the one who elbowed you and took you out for 9 months? Oh my
I'm not,
goodness.
I'm not, I'm not gonna say that. I'm just, I'm gonna say.
Oh no. Oh no. Well,
But
anyone
it was
watching, obviously, I've smoothed out over the years. I won't be elbowing you in the head,
It's
hopefully.
great now. No, I just remember that day because I just remember you saying one time, like, oh, I think it's gonna happen today, and I was like, what's? I was like, no, this isn't nothing like that's gonna happen. And then I think the cool thing is life happens, and then you can take time off, and the coolest thing about this sport or this art, really is just the fact of no matter how much time you take off, you always think about it. You always come back to it. And I think, even this time right now, I mean, during COVID and staying home and all that, it's crazy. You always like, man, I remember this, and I want to try this out, and I was like, man, I wonder how I would do it. And it's like, man, I'm thinking about this like all day.
I've been doing that too. I've come up with a whole new game, a whole
Yeah,
new strategy in my mind. I can't wait to debut it and see if there's anything to it.
right? Yeah.
Uh, so what would so now, all right, so you started off, uh with some prior grappling. You've been involved in the martial arts for man, since your teenage years, and you're basically continuing to grow in your coaching role, coaching in the youth program, and now starting to coach in the adult classes. And how are you feeling about that kind of? I guess I feel like that's part of the evolution of the martial artist. So how are you enjoying it, and what are your thoughts on it?
Um, I think I like the fact that you said that it's like an evolution within like this jujitsu journey, or even martial arts journey. And when we started off, and at first started helping out the kids, and then kind of got more stable and more permanent, um, it felt right. It felt that, man, this is cool because I see it from a different standpoint. And then when you start teaching it, especially to kids, you're like, man, um, I want to bring this knowledge out and try to get them better, and what I like the fact of, and I say this a lot, to people, um, like for us, for our school, it's not just the art itself. It's everything that surrounds that art, and teaching kids, especially my son, when Matthew's there, and stuff is just like, this thing goes beyond whatever move you're doing. There's struggles that happen here on the mat, and those struggles don't just stay here. Like there's struggles that happen everywhere. It's kind of like, what do you do with them? And I think what we do well, is just that fact of telling kids, like there's so much in life that we can continue to grow, and we continue to overcome and get stronger, and not only exist within jujitsu, but it exists with everything we do, and I I like that part of the coaching aspect for the kids. And it does, you're right, it felt like a natural evolution
And
going forward.
do you notice when you're coaching, it's like trying to even take one of the most fundamental techniques and explain it to someone who's brand new, it's like you're getting the repetitions in your mind, and
Yeah,
it carries
yeah.
over to your own training too, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's kind of like it's funny, like actually rolling and stuff with adults, and so it's kind of like, man, what do I tell the kids? I was telling kids just to get on your side, trim out
Right.
this way, or just frame this way, because remember it should be natural, and you're kind of and you constantly think about it, and it is neat though, because sometimes if you're not able to always do the basics every single day, helping out the kids and saying it and going step by step mentally. It's like, oh man, this is pretty much ingrained in what we do. And with that, going into the adult part, man, it's great. It's cool, in the fact of, I think as we grow, and keep evolving in jiu-jitsu, the coolest part is that when someone is fresh, someone is new, and you understand it, or they have questions, and you naturally say like, hey, have you thought about this, or maybe look at your placement or something like that, and just being able to do it formally um, has been a great experience.
Awesome.
And just like kids, I think being able to say it step by step and repetitively doing it, trying to see it from their view, when I am in a position, it's like, okay, I can kind of see it in different perspectives and a little more clarity, I think.
Right. And yeah, and I mean, on my end, teaching wise, I always feel like, man, yeah, it's just very rewarding, right? Like to be able to have someone come in who knows nothing about this, and
Oh
be able to
yeah,
set them on the right track, and
yeah.
see them build up in their, not only in their confidence, but also like their fitness level improve.
Hmm.
And I was just, we actually had a new adult enroll tonight, and he was saying, yeah, I got some weight to lose and everything. And I was just telling him, man, we've had guys come in and lose, 50, 60 pounds, to where it's like, yeah, getting into the lifestyle of it all, or it's nice to kind of, what am I trying to say? I guess reflect on that stuff and see, we see those guys every single day, so
Mm,
you don't necessarily notice 50 pounds has come off of them. But then when
right.
you take the time to kind of look back and say, man, this martial arts journey has made a big impact on them, not only, with their physical skill and their self-defense, but also like, yeah, losing weight, and being in better shape. And so what would you say for anyone new starting out?
You-
What's that?
Oh no, I think there was a little pause on the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone new just getting started, and or they're thinking about getting started, or maybe they're in their first couple months of training? Yeah, what advice would you have for them?
Um, the easiest thing I would always say is just just keep going. And I think that can go as deep as you want it to go, or as superficial as you want it to go. But it's one of those things to where, taking, well, for someone who's brand new, taking that first step, and calling, hey, I'm interested. And then taking that second step of like, okay, I'm gonna go, and having these battles, if there are in your head, be like, okay, and then getting there and trying it out and be like, man, okay, well, let me. It was a good class, I kind of learned something, and then coming back home and going, okay, let me just get there again, let me just try it again, and I think the biggest thing would definitely be is yeah, just keep going. And if you want to think about it, just think of it as like a staircase. I mean, you can focus on the very end because that's where you want to go. But sometimes it's easier to just look down and to just take that next step and then just keep taking that next step. Because eventually, if you just kept doing that, it looks like a shorter distance because you're looking down. But as you keep going, and you'll eventually get to that goal that you wanted to go. So, I think just just for new people or people who are just been there for just a month or so is just keep going. Like, don't life it will always happen, and if you just take some time, that hour a day, and just hour when you come and just be like, okay, I got an hour. I can just keep going. I can just keep trying out, and eventually it just turns over to be like, you know what, man, this is just me. I'm just gonna go. I just gotta show up because this is all I think about, and I'm making my time for it, and I just like doing it because I'm in it. I think I don't know why, but like sometimes like Ryan's message one time where he was like, I don't play golf, I don't go out there, I don't go play, other sports and stuff. It's like, but I got this, and so I just like going to it because I'm just doing it,
Right.
and the coolest part is like you said, with fitness and with everything else, it's like it ends up being there no matter what. I think we're just distracted on a different pathway, but for some reason you keep going, you're like, oh man, I just dropped like 50 pounds, or like you keep going, you're like, oh man, I guess I'm already at this level for some reason, and you just keep moving
Right.
forward. So I think all of it kind of
Right.
like sums up, and
Man, I think
everyone
that's
does a
great
good play.
advice. Yeah, just kind of taking don't look at the big, the huge picture. Just look at, hey, what's that next little step I have to take, and what's that next little thing I can do to keep moving forward. And for, yeah, I mean, I think for anybody, right? It's like, man, there's very few naturals. I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
I've met like two or three naturals where
Yeah.
like someone's in there for 6 months and you're just like, whoa, that guy's good.
Right.
How long has he
Yeah.
been training? Only 6 months? That's incredible. But it seems like for most people, it's just, hey, grit your teeth and put in your hard work, and
Yeah.
the results are going to come through that. So, uh, but yeah, but it happens at such it feels like almost like such a slow pace, right? Like one step at a time, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean that's incredible advice. So, well, thanks so much for being on here tonight. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we jump off?
I know for those who've always been there, and during this time, it can be difficult or hard, but it is great to see the progress and steps that as Dojo Kyle's been making to normalization, and it's been great. It's been great to see everyone was come together and talk about it, and know that nobody's like just like leaving. It's just always like we're just always there. So I've been
Right.
enjoying that a lot,
Yeah.
um and the people that we
Yeah,
got, it's
the
great.
whole community aspect of it's been incredible. Yeah,
Yeah, most definitely.
the community support's been incredible, and uh, yeah, it really feels like something special. So
Hmm.
we feel blessed to have you a part of it, Coach Steven, teaching the kids, teaching the adults, getting in some good training, and yeah, so thank you
All
for being
right.
a part of it. Thank you for taking the time tonight to talk to us all, and uh, can't wait to see you on the mat soon. All right.
All right, thanks for having me on. Talk to you guys later.
And Olive says goodbye.
Well,
All right, later.
later.